Now, I give you a picture of the book that this comes from, and then this goes on to say, I'm just about done here. This goes on to say, her incarnation with her twin flame divine counterpart, this is the false Master Jesus that we've talked about so much. This is the same Master Jesus that Maitreya says when he shows up, he is going to have this Master Jesus with him at some point, and he is going to be the one that goes, guess where? To Rome and takes over the Pope's seat in the Vatican. He is going to be the one commissioned to unite all of particularly Christianity under a one world religion. Now, I've said this before, but the images that we see of the Jesus that's portrayed today, that long hair version, that's the version that Michelangelo gave us. That's the version the Catholic Church gave us. And if that version shows up, there are going to be millions and millions and millions of Christians that think that he's the real deal just because of what he looks like. And if he's the one that goes to Rome and sits in the Vatican and is commissioned to unite all the one world religions, there's a good chance he's the false prophet, because the false prophet is going to be the religious one between the Antichrist and the false prophet. The false prophet is going to be the one that's going to be doing a lot of the lying signs and wonders and miracles. He's going to be a false version of Jesus Christ. This is what Maitreya says is going to happen. Now, if it goes down that way, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and get all dogmatic and say, yes, it's got to be this way because Maitreya said it and because all these New Agers said it. But I'll tell you what, if it did go down that way, can you imagine how many people are going to fall hook, line, and sinker and be deceived over this? So this goes on to say, her incarnation with her twin flame divine counterpart, which is this ascended Master Jesus, enabled her to prove that all are worthy of God's love and can receive His blessings. So in other words, everybody's going to heaven, and we can receive His blessings. This is another gospel. Her final incarnation, Mary Magdalene, was in the United States as Amy Semple McPherson, where she died in 1944. In that lifetime, she brought the messages of love and healing from the ascended masters, especially Master Jesus, and was persecuted and isolated as a consequence. Even so, she never wavered in her devotion. Oh, she really was a true, Proverbs 31 woman. I mean, who could argue that? We just went over her pedigree there. She holds for us the energies of Jesus' power of healing and can help us connect more strongly with His energies. Now, understand, if you're part of this, you're literally in strong delusion. If you think that she was a woman of God, if you're in these denominational movements where the foundation was laid by people like her, you better seriously get on your knees and rethink things, because hopefully I've done enough here to convince you today that you're in serious delusion. Now, the devil himself, Sananda Emmanuel, otherwise known as Ascended Master Jesus, okay, he also calls himself Sananda Emmanuel, which is the same pictures that we always see of Jesus portrayed. He channeled the following damage control quote regarding McPherson. He said, quote, "Take the example of one who was told about my beloved Magda, who is Mary Magdalene. The one who was of a Christian denomination, and was told that Mary Magdalene had made her ascension after her passing as Amy Semple McPherson." In other words, after she died as Amy Semple McPherson, supposedly she became an ascended master. This is what they teach. And that she had spent half of a century at inner levels balancing the remainder of her karma. Anyway, I just thought that's kind of interesting how this all ties together. Hinn, then just concluding here, Benny Hinn incidentally claims that besides being visited by Jesus Christ Himself, the Old Testament prophet Elijah, and others, that Kuhlman has made her appearance several times and speaks to him from beyond the grave. Well, what's that called? That's called necromancy. Talking to the dead. It was a crime punishable by death in the Old Testament because you're communicating with demons. You're not communicating with that person. If Kuhlman was in heaven, she's not going to come down here and talk to you. And if she's in hell, she ain't coming up from hell to talk to you either. What is he talking to? He's talking to a familiar spirit. He's talking to a spirit familiar with Catherine Kuhlman. And when that familiar spirit manifests in the room with him, it looks just like her. And it sounds just like her. In fact, it could have been the demon, and it probably was the demon, that was possessing Catherine Kuhlman while she was alive. And it might have even been the demon that was giving her false powers to deceive. That's all he was talking to. Happens all the time in the occult. So that's about it. There's another link here you can go on regarding Benny Hinn preaching the Gnostic Jesus. Anyway, that's all for today. We'll see you back on Sunday, and we'll be getting into some other pretty heavy-duty issues. A lot of these issues we're going to cover on Sunday are going to relate to what they're doing to the food, the water supply, and the vaccines. Things are really heating up, and you really need to stay educated about these things because they're not trivial issues. They're issues that can affect you body, soul, and spirit. And I don't know how much longer I'll be permitted to do this, but pray for us that we're able to keep continuing the fight, and we'll go